Just wanted to do a quick video on turbochargers today. Just, I hear a lot of people claiming that you need a T6 turbo if you're running on the street or whatever, or pretty much in any V8 engine. And I would very disagree with that. If you're trying to make, 900 horsepower and running around every day, then yeah, maybe a T6 is your best friend. But it really depends on your horsepower goal and, how you drive the thing on the street. Obviously, T4, in my opinion, is the best way to go. This is a 0.90 housing for a T4 S400. And that's the T6 next to it. So obviously we got quite a big difference here. Let me stand them up, might be able to see them a little bit better that way. So obviously this is a lot bigger and it's going to flow a lot more air. Let me flip it around here again and show you the outlet. So that's the outlet on the T6, and that's the outlet on the T4. If you put them together, they're not gonna be close there. There's quite a bit of difference there, but anyways, long story short, this turbo is gonna spool up a lot quicker, and I live in elevation right now, and I generally was running this charger here. This is a VS Racing S480. When they say 80 millimeter, it's this portion here. You do have an exducer on every turbo. So you have the top fins and the lower fins. It's actually 117 millimeter down here. And then obviously you have fins in the back, your turbine wheel, which this is a 75/83, so it's a 75 back here and an 83 up top. And for elevation, these things spool pretty nice. I live at 5,500 feet, so this turbo lit about 3,000 RPMs and was probably ready to party by 4, full boost. So that turbo was pretty good. Still even a little laggy on the bottom end, just being at 5,500 feet. So there are, better options, like this charger here. This is an S300. And if you can tell the difference between the S300 and the 400, I mean, this is a 69 millimeter, that's an 80. But just the compressor side of this is just massive. Here, let me show you put the compressor up here next to this one. This is the compressor that goes on. Here, I'll try to just put it on here quick. Yeah, so you can see the difference there. Pretty big difference. So, I mean, obviously this is gonna flow. I can stick almost 4 fingers in this one. Can get about 3 in this one. So yeah, I mean, obviously it's going to take longer for the air to get moving through the bigger one, but when it gets moving, it's going to move more air. But realistically, for street driving, I think that I'm going to go with this S369 just because of my power goals, and being in elevation. The truck's just not that fun to drive. It was okay, like I said, it would spool around 3,000 RPMs or so, and get partying. But if you want to have some fun and just hit the gas, this one's going to spool probably at 2,000 or even 1,800 RPMs. So this turbo, and I think everybody is going to say, oh, you get all this back pressure and stuff. Well, pretty much all the S300s, the bigger ones, they have 2 different turbine wheels. They have a 76 or 68 76 turbine, and they have a 7380, and most of them are, if it's a 66 and bigger, it's going to be a 7380 turbine. And this thing, you know, is almost the same size as this. This is a 7583. So your 7380 versus a 7583, you know, or whatever. So just a couple difference millimeters wise in the back half. The housing is kind of small on this one. It's a 0.90. You know, it's not tiny. It's still, you know, I wish that, you know, there's probably some companies out there making 1.25 ARs or 1.1 AR housings, and I might have to eventually do that, get into a bigger housing, so I'm not getting into as much back pressure. But this charger will do 700 horsepower. On my engine's a 370 LS, which is just a 6.0 30 over. But you know, everybody, like I said, talks about the S480 and being a T6, and the only thing it should be on is you know, any V8 should have a T6, and they spool like shit. They really do. Like I said, track stuff is really where I believe that the T6 should be only be on. I mean, driving it on the street, if you're at elevation, then yeah, I mean, a T6 is going to light a lot better at low elevation than it will at anything that is elevation. This is a T6 housing, and this is for this T4 turbo. So you can go to a T6 if you need to, and be a T6. You know, everybody says, oh, you can't run a T4. You know, they make housings for the T4s to make them T6s. And this is a 110 AR housing, 110 T6. And yeah, so if I ever moved back to the Midwest, or, you know, into California or where the sea level is, you know, I might have to jump up to this if I was running that turbo, just because, you know, your engine can breathe a lot better up there. But another thing people don't know is on the turbine side, there's 3 different turbines for the T4 turbos, the S400s. You have the standard 7583, then you have an 8287 turbine, and then you also have an 8593 turbine. And people have made 1200 horsepower on that 8593 turbine. So, and I think it was probably with this housing on there with a T6, but still, those turbines will move a lot of air, you know, and everybody talks about the big T6, which is usually an 8896 turbine, and it's on like a 132 AR housing, which is damn big. Let me spin this around. It's a little rusty. It's been sitting in the swamp cooler. But anyways, this thing's massive. This is 85 on the inducer, and it's 130 on the exducer on the compressor side. And this is actually a 92 102 turbine. But I would never put this turbo on a street truck. I don't even care if it was a 408. You know, I've heard of people running this turbo. You know, another turbo that a lot of people run is the 88 103, I think they call it. It's a VS Racing. Yeah, 88 103. And I think that's pretty much a 92 103 turbine. But this thing would be a total turd on the street. You know, you have to rev it 4,000, 4,500 RPMs just to get her going. And especially up here in the elevation, might be at 5,000 or more to get it spooled. So pretty much primarily is don't buy a T6 turbo if you're gonna drive it on the street and you just want to have fun. I mean, up to 600, 650 wheel, you know, the T4 is going to be a lot more funner to drive, and it's going to spool better. If you go to a T6, it's going to be a lot more laggy. And you know, so that's, I have another 80 on my truck right now. I took this one off. I have the 8287 turbine S480. and I can't get that thing lit till 3,800 RPMs. So, like I said, I really think that I'm going to go with this 69 for now. I could go, with another S400 based. I could do an S472, which has a 92 millimeter exducer on the compressor side, and that would help tremendously. I'm sure it would. But I just have this 69, and I really just want to put it on and just have some fun. I think it's gonna, spool really nice. I think it's gonna, like I said, light at 2,000 RPMs and just fry the tires. It's just gonna be a lot of fun to drive versus this one. And I'm really only looking for 600 horse this year, so hopefully I can get it done with 15 pounds of boost, or around there. So 15 pounds, and have some fun. And I'll probably put a drive pressure gauge on it and see, if I'm close to one to one at that kind of boost around here, and if I am, I guess, like I said, you can always go up in the housing. I don't know if I just told you this or not, but on the S400s, you can go from this 0.90 housing to a 1.0 AR to a 1.1 AR to a 1.25 AR. And I know on these ones, you can actually go to a 0.88, which is smaller than this. This is a 0.90. I know they make a 1.0, and I think they make a 1.10, and I'm thinking that Force Performance or a couple other people, Force Induction, is doing a bigger one, a 1.25. And like I said, if I am getting into some back pressure, I might just jump up into that thing. But the reason why that this turbo also is a lot more fast to spool, this is, like I said, a 69 up here, and the exducers are 92, is because of the shaft, and everything is so much lighter. Like if I were to take this shaft out of this turbo and put both wheels on a some kind of scale, look at the nut and the shaft on that one, and look at the nut and the shaft on that one. There is a humongous difference. So that's why that the S300s will spool way faster than any S400, because the shaft and the moving parts are just so much lighter. So just wanted to get the facts straight. I've been, playing around with this stuff for a long time. Got customers' vehicles with another one across town with a S475 on it, and that truck spools a Charger. It's a 5.3 with a smaller cam. That thing probably lights a turbo at 2,600 or so. It's pretty fun to drive on the street. But that's a T4, and we've made 697 to the tire on 15 pounds on E85. So, like I said, just think about a T4 before you start buying T6s, because they are, in my opinion, only for people at altitude that want a little turbo lag, because that T6 isn't going to spool till 3,000 or plus RPMs, where T4, like I said, if this was a 72, this thing would probably be lighting at 2,500 or so. But yeah, just keep the T4s in mind. Thanks for watching.